thought this would be an easy video to do, to be honest. I was going to sit in a chair and point the camera over my shoulder and read to you, but then I realised I can't see the camera, and if I move the book you won't see what I'm doing and you'll be looking at nothing. So I needed a book rest. So what I've done, just got a bit of dowel and one of those clock faces and these fridge magnets to hold the book. So what I'm going to have to do, of course, is to undo that one, fold this page over, put it under there and clip that back up again. So I think the best thing to do is read for a while and then cut all the page turning out. That's one thing. The other thing, excuse me, just talking to Andy, he said, he groaned when I said I was going to do the videos, you know, parts of videos. So you obviously can tell me, do you want to have some different videos, like a cooking video in the middle of the series to break it up, or do you want the full series, you know? Because when I was telling you, when I did my engine project a long while ago, my friends were watching it and I was getting text messages if I didn't do one for a couple of days. Come on, you know, get your finger out, get on with it, right? So I'm sure you'll let us know. And so we'll begin. Forward by King Hep, right? There's a nice little picture there, isn't there? Right, an introduction. In introducing the 4th edition of the Hepalite Service Manual, I must once again pay tribute to the many friends who have assisted in its compilation. This new issue does not differ widely from its predecessors, but it is up to date in regard to technical data and includes a new chapter dealing with the reconditioning of pistons and additional information regarding valves and gaskets. Once again, may I make the plea that this handy volume should not be locked up in the manager's office, but be made available to all who handle engines. As before, the object of this manual is to pass on to the less experienced some of the accumulated know-how obtained the hard way, in the hope that the quality of engine reconditioning will benefit thereby. The aim is to ensure that whenever Hepalite quality products are fitted, they shall be trouble-free and reflect credit not only upon ourselves but upon those who did the job. Remember, one bad job takes years to live down, while the satisfactory jobs bring their just rewards. In all cases, however trivial, be thorough and do the job right. Preliminary examination. Oil consumption. Excessive oil consumption can be stated in general to be the limiting factor which governs an engine overhaul period. It usually indicates that a number of the working parts in the engine have now worn to such an extent that their useful life is nearly over. Besides being expensive, inconvenient and often a public nuisance, it is the first and most obvious indication that certain components inside the engine require overhaul or renewal. Coupled with high oil consumption, it is usually found that loss in power and an increase in fuel consumption are prevalent. Check symptoms. Do not jump to the conclusion that because oil consumption is excessive, a rebore is essential. Check over all the symptoms before stripping down the engine completely. Remember how a doctor carefully examines his patient, noting all his reactions before cutting him open to do any major repairs to his innards. Obtain full information. First determine from the customer as much information as possible regarding the present oil consumption figure, the total mileage since the last overhaul or since new, the type of running which his engine is getting and any other relevant data. type of service. The service on which this vehicle is employed and the treatment the engine receives have a very large bearing on its condition. It is well known that a car, such as that used by a doctor engaged on short runs and a large number of cold starts, is particularly prone to excessive cylinder wear and the formation of sludge in the oil. Alternatively, an engine employed in a dusty atmosphere will also suffer from excessive wear unless a very efficient filter is used. I'll just stop reading for a moment to tell you that 70% of engine wear is experienced in the first 10 minutes before the engine reaches operating temperature, something I remember from college. Driving speed. Remember also that the speed at which the engine is driven makes a great difference to the oil consumption. For example, at 60 miles an hour, the average engine is likely to use 3 times as much oil as it will do at 40 miles an hour. Is oil being burned? Check for blue smoke from the exhaust pipe. Do this with the sump filled to the correct level and with the engine thoroughly warm. Run at a speed equivalent to 30 or 40 miles an hour on the road and note whether blue smoke comes out of the exhaust pipe, and allow the engine to idle for 5 to 10 minutes and then rev up once more, noting whether smoke appears. The presence of blue smoke in the exhaust is a definite sign that the engine is burning oil. Its absence indicates that it's being lost through other causes than oil entering the combustion chamber. Oil leaks. If oil is not being burnt, then it is being lost through leakage from one or several of the gaskets or pipe joints in the engine, or by seeping through along a warm main bearing journal and escaping past the seal. To check this, thoroughly clean the sides of the engine around all such joints and make a road test, driving the car fairly hard. On returning to the garage, look around the engine once more, and the presence of oil should indicate where the leakage is taking place, if any. If any doubt exists, place a clean sheet of paper under the engine and leave running for about 15 minutes. The position of any oil leaks will then be shown up fairly accurately. It must be emphasised that the oil level should be at its correct mark, as leaks may not show up unless the oil is at or near its correct level. In the case of persistent and unaccountable oil leak, check to see that the sump has not been overfilled, as this can result in oil loss, which would not take place if the oil was maintained at the correct level. It is essential that this leakage check should always be done accurately, since if the trouble is located, the low cost of correction will save the owner money and thus ensure not only a satisfied owner but a grateful one. If the engine is proved to be burning oil, then it's necessary to start looking for further causes.